Hello and welcome to another update video about Polkadot. Polkadot, similar to Bitcoin, in my opinion, has not completed its correction yet. I would still expect primarily the price to drop once more in another correction around at least 50% into the target area here. I think to get more trust in this move up, I want to see that additional drop. Again, it has to do with how waves normally behave, how markets normally behave. You normally need, especially in such a higher level wave correction as we're doing here with Polkadot, with Bitcoin, you would normally expect in such an ABC the price to drop below the wave A. Many cryptos have already completed that pattern, which doesn't mean they couldn't come even lower, but it means that they have fulfilled the minimum requirements to complete this higher level correction. And Polkadot, is still sort of in this correction, in my opinion. I have no reason to believe that this correction is already over for Polkadot. And if it is, then it is. But then I have a lot of other altcoins which I have much more trust in the chart because they have made this lower low. And for everybody who doesn't really have a lot of experience in financial markets, or for everybody who doesn't know how markets normally work, you typically get this ABC correction in a 3-wave move, which is the most basic one, but also the most likely one. In this case, it would be called an expanded flat, where you make an overshooting wave B, which means that wave B, which is actually part of the correction, makes a higher high compared to the previous high, but then also the next low should come below the low. There is, of course, another possibility, a so-called running flat, where the low could already be in, but it typically doesn't do it. Cryptos normally don't do running flats, especially not in a wave 2, and especially not, and because this here was a wave 1, this is a wave 2, not in a wave 2, and also not in such a higher level correction. It would really surprise me. And then again, if it still moves up from here, I rather be very careful. From what I invested in this downtrend, because I did buy Polkadot as well, but I was much more careful with buying because we have not reached the target area yet. So this is still my primary expectation. I mean, we can see that Polkadot is currently moving here towards this $22 level, $22.50, very important resistance level. It was support before. Let's just see how that actually looks on the VPVR. And you can see that if we zoom out a little bit, just above where we currently are, you start to see the peak again. So this is where the resistance is starting, but where we currently also are, exactly where we are, you have this previous high. And if we move that up a little bit, you can see, it's pretty much around $22.70. So this is a very relevant level the price actually needs to get above. It's currently struggling with it. So if I zoom in, you can see that actually. And I can see straight away when you look at the chart and you look at the RSI that straight away you can see a bearish divergence. Okay, so what you do here, you make higher highs, a series of higher highs on the price, but then the last two here, from that high to that high, you made a higher high, but you're losing steam because you're not pushing much higher. That indicates on the RSI then you may actually make a lower high because the momentum is dropping, and that increases the chances to move down. Now we are still above this ascending trend line, and as long as you do this, you are still in an uptrend technically. But then it's very important, especially when you start to see a bearish divergence, and when you start to see the MACD doing a bearish crossover, it is very highly relevant to keep a close eye on the chart. And if you then drop below that ascending trend line, then I think you can come very easily to the next support, and that would be here in this region of around $19.50. So that would be the next support. Here on the daily chart, you can also see it wasn't even overbought on the daily, the RSI, but the MACD is now losing also momentum. And if this plays out as a bearish crossover, this could fuel another sell-off. And this is what I primarily believe. In addition to that, the price has not yet managed to make a clear 5-wave move. There are other altcoins, and especially the altcoins that have reached their individual target areas. Many of them, including VeChain, Solana, we've got here Silica as well, for example. You can interpret a first 5-wave impulse into this first move. Polkadot hasn't done it yet. It looks still very much like an ABC here, which would indicate that we come down once more in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and will make a lower low. Now, making a lower low here for Polkadot is not too difficult, because to do it, it would only need to make another 40% down. Other cryptos now that outperform Bitcoin significantly would need to make significantly more, would need to decrease much more in price to make a lower low. Therefore, in my opinion, it's not unlikely to expect here another lower low for Polkadot, and ideally here into the target area at least to $10.71. That is what I primarily believe. And there is, of course, even more short-term upside potential here for Polkadot. It actually can move quite significantly higher. With the next major resistance, I would call $25. That's the 50% FIB retracement. And then the 200-day moving average at nearly $29 at the moment. Yeah. Of course, upside potential is possible in the short term, but at the moment, this still looks very, very corrective. Yeah, it still looks very, very corrective. Things might change if we break above $30. And if this still becomes another impulse, then I can still set a new target area in the next correction down. But at the moment, I just don't see that this correction is over for Polkadot. Yeah, I'm much more confident in other cryptos that did reach their target areas and also have seen a much more significant move to the upside yet. I mean, generally longer term here on the 4-day chart, it's still pushing higher. There is much more upside potential, but also here on the RSI on the 4-day chart, it's now struggling with the 50 level as a resistance. So I think probably the next few days here, or maybe even tomorrow, will decide how the price is continuing to move, because we are now getting here close to an important resistance, or we're just there at this $22.70 level, and we are just hovering above this ascending trend line. And if you lose that, I think the price could roll over. Yeah, that's my view here on Polkadot. I mean, in the next major move up, I talked about that as well. I would expect at least $80 for Polkadot. So I'm generally bullish on Polkadot, but would like to see that correction complete first. And it's absolutely not a problem for the price here to drop that much more because we are still very, very low. And the downside potential still is very much there. But then from there, finally, when we reach the target area, there is the upside potential that could go to at least $80, $81. That is at least the 1.618 FIB extension, because this here was a wave 1. We're now in a wave 2, and the next wave 3 should go at least to the 1.618 FIB extension. So hopefully you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.